Namaste, hoopsala, namaste. Hello, it's Bharati here. I think we will have some more people joining soon. I'm happy to, have my first webinar since so long time in English language. So I had a lot of webinars in German, and before, I came back from India, I had groups. I taught groups about mantras and also about yantras and spiritual experiences in Australia and also in Malaysia and in Singapore and in the US. And then actually I started my ashram here in Germany, so right now I'm not traveling so much anymore, but some of my contacts in English said always, oh, please do something more in English, and I'm slowly starting this. And now through the new technique, which is very different than so many years ago, it's possible also to do some webinars, which is called internet seminars. Nitika, this is no problem that you cannot write in English. I can just read it in German and read it here. If you have any questions, you're also very welcome to ask your questions. It's normally like this in this free webinars that not everybody can attend live, but they will watch the video recording later. I will also upload this free webinar on YouTube, so everybody can later on also look it up. So if you have questions, you can always write them in the chat and I can see if this question fits in and translates this for you. So we're talking today about Siddhis and Siddhis. The name Siddhis is not very known. Siddhis is, they are more the comfort energies in the divine, from the divine, which coming as a good karma or in a good luck, we could say. And the Siddhis are the real spiritual, supernatural powers. And actually, it's all about getting this divine light to shine. It's all about to activate the spiritual power in us. Every human being has that in us, in themselves, and every human being can develop this inner light so strongly so that every person can achieve certain levels of Siddhis and also Siddhis. So there are so many traditions talking about the spiritual powers in the Buddhist tradition, in the Thailand tradition, in the Hindu tradition. There are so many different ways to achieve this spiritual powers, but I would say the most divine energy and the most divine power is really the power of love and also the power of consciousness. Once your energy is raising, once you experience certain level of spiritual vibration, you are able to see more, you are able to get a different consciousness. That is also meant by opening the third eye. Once you're opening your third eye, it's not just about that you kind of, see everything in your third eye, but it's also about you have a different view and you see things more. So there are certain powers, they are also called in the beginning Siddhis, where you can start to feel the soul vibration of another being, if it's from an animal or from another life form, but also from a human being. And at certain level you can also feel if somebody is lying to you or is in great pain and trying to hide that from you. You can see through the mask of people. You can you get some sense of things. I personally have this experience that when I get some sense, always the mind is still also a nice player in that. Even if my senses are telling some things, sometimes my mind is fooling and getting a second opinion on that. And that is also why I really acknowledge the power of silence and the power of sadhana. Sadhana means spiritual practice. Because once if you really connect to silence, you are able to hear your divine energy through your soul more and more. You get more clear. And that is also one of the first powers that is coming actually very easily to every human being once you meditate and once you do some practice. It's actually not so difficult to achieve that. That is also called the power of the third eye or the power of intuition. And in India, see, I forgot that now here. Also many times I forget that in Germany. When I'm in India, I take my bindi more. In India, we put the third eye, we put something on our third eye to, first of all, to kind of, that's the first level, to protect it. Because the third eye is like a real physical eye inside the brain. I only know that since a few months, or even let's say like 2 years. I didn't know that before. It's called the pineal gland, and I know that there's a pineal gland, but I didn't know all the secrets about it. I just learned it recently, and I'm really, really surprised, because when I researched on that, I also found out that the rishis and the real Indian, yogis and siddhas who researched on that found the power of that pineal gland and wrote it down in the olden scriptures, in the palm leaf books, in the nadi books. And the secret behind that is, for example, that you have a real physical capacity to see with the third eye. There's something in the eyes where we are able to see. In German, that's called Zapfen. I don't know in English. So that is anatomic reason why we can see. And the same is, we have the same in the brain, in the pineal gland. In the Hindu tradition, it's also said, once you open your third eye, you can also see in the future, you can see your past lives, and that's also one of the first experiences many people have once they really meditate deeply, once they really do certain levels of sadhana. In Germany, especially here in Germany, I see that there's not much understanding of of holding the energy. I hear a lot of techniques, and I also learned a lot of techniques. Guten Abend, Claudia. I learned a lot of techniques to achieve, certain energies and then give it away immediately for healing. In India, what I learned was, when I came there, many years ago, it was very new to me at the time that it's important to hold certain energies, that we're not sharing that energies directly with other people. For example, when you do a certain level of meditation, that you don't hug everybody, or that you don't, share all your thoughts immediately with everybody, but keep that energy to yourself, digest it, as we say, digest that energy, and then, gaining that energy more and more and more in yourself, so that energy can raise and finally hit your third eye. So when certain energy is moving around our body, it's also called the Kundalini Shakti, the power of, awareness, and the Shakti means power. Yeah, Kundalini is the energy which is, in every person in the spine. It's like, it looks like a snake, and after a while it moves up the different chakras. And when it reaches the third eye, the pineal gland can get open. And the interesting thing, and this is, just a moment, I thought I have something with the pineal gland. Yes, the interesting thing about that it's not just the third eye, it's connecting also to the ears, it's connected here to the top of the head, and also connected to the crown chakra, and also of the back of the head. And that allows us, once that energy is opening up, that we are, clear, that we can see things clear, that we can hear things clear, that we get an all-around experience. In my experience, I actually, many people asked me that also in the past. I don't like to scan everybody around me, because I feel, first of all, that's also their private, only when I'm involved. But for me personally, it started, I don't know exactly, but I think around 20 years ago already, that I started to see some aura. I saw some energy fields, which is nothing else than an energy field around trees, around, everything, like cats, like everything which is alive, and also about beings, and about human beings, I mean. And then I started to see also different colors, and also I got what they think, or what their pattern of thinking is. And after a while, I felt this is really, really exhausting. So, and I also like to have my own process and not look in everybody else, but to also look inside of me. And the interesting thing is, but on the other side, that once you have that awareness for the first time, of course, this is gives a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And that feeling is like kind of, okay, you have a proof of God, you have the proof of divine energy. For me personally, it was like a kind of, okay, I don't have to search so much anymore. After a while, after certain experiences, especially those I had alone and not with the help of any master, which I also had, which are beautiful and amazing. I'm super thankful for that. But once that energy came through myself, then at that point I really understood that it's possible to, for every human being, to get that energy up in a certain level, that you expand your consciousness. And I believe that many of the powers like telepathy, and also seeing in the future, or healing, or having like a great intuition, is something every human being has. And we have a big responsibility, this is what I feel, to really be careful with that, of what we're doing with that, because that's the point. I met also in my long time in India, I mean, I stayed there for 10 years full time, and since another 8 years now, I'm going back and forth to minimum 2 times a year. So it's now for me 18 years fully connected to India on a very deep level. And I also saw many saints, let's say, or many yogis who also misuse powers. And that was very confusing for me, because in the beginning I had this belief system that everybody who gets certain energies like siddhis and spiritual experiences, that they must be so purified that they are not able to, do any wrong things. And I learned, no, that's not true. There are certain levels of mantras, there are certain level of yantras, there are certain secrets how a soul can very easily attain supernatural powers, and that has nothing to do with the character, except if you go a slow purifying process. That's why in certain yoga traditions, they say, be careful of the siddhis, be careful of the supernatural powers, because they are coming as a fruit, they're coming like a chocolate, like bonbons, when you do the right sadhana. But the real way should be from going for moksha, for going for good karma yoga, going for, purifying your soul, and really looking within, what are your blockages, what are your, your impurities, because everybody thinks I'm not impure, the other person is impure. That's also, most people think that, yeah, it's also a great blockage. And this level can be achieved to many ways. For example, it can be achieved through mantra yoga. This is what you see here right now. This is a mala and is a chant with the mantras. It also can be achieved through karma yoga, through so many different yogas. And what is really beautiful, that when the siddhis come from alone, without pushing them with certain energies, that experiences, they stay, and they're also connected to the heart, and they are mostly not so much disappearing. The siddhis you get, or the divine supernatural powers you get through certain, let's say, a little sneaky way or shortcut way, they always can disappear very fast. And what I learned now is that certain Siddhis who are going in a purified way, they stay. That is also why you hear from so many healers, they are really, really good and powerful. And certain healers, they have that energy and they have that vibration and they don't lose it, you know. And one way to achieve that powers is really through mantras. And I want to tell you, there's so many mantras. There are around 70 million first level mantras. I mean, that is huge. And so many more secondary mantras for so many different energies. So 70 million mantras, think about that. That is huge. And each mantra has a certain vibration and a certain power. And of course, I don't know 70 million mantras. I think I know around 150 mantras, maybe by heart. I know certain, and I also know a lot of secondary mantras. And I actually learned from different yogis also certain different vibrations, and there are mantras for everything, for sickness, for business, for supernatural powers and everything. Most people in India, when they go to a sadhu or yogi and they're asking their help, they have they have mostly wishes, for example, for a child. Yeah, so there are mantras if a couple cannot get a child, or you know, as a woman has a lot of miscarriage, or you know, has a problem to conceive a child. There are certain mantras that are very, very powerful. I tried some of them, not with me, but with couples who had difficulties to get a baby, and they work. And but the good mantras, they only work by the request of God. This mantras is very important. The mantra is like a phone call to divine different energies. So, for example, if I want to call somebody and I ring a wrong number, I cannot expect that somebody is picking up on the other end, right? So same is with the mantras. So certain mantras has very strict rules. So if I do an easy mantra, for example, if a couple wishes for a child, it's some easy mantra, then it's not so difficult. But when you really go for certain abilities or certain experiences, then you might have some really strong rules, regulations, which is written in the ancient, traditions already. And you have to, for example, only eat once a day, or you have to be a brahmacharya. That means you cannot have any sexual relation during the time you chant that mantra. Of course, for most mantras, you cannot eat meat. There are mantras you can eat meat, but I don't like these mantras. They are negative mantras, and they call up to the lower levels, and they are very dangerous. In the beginning, I didn't understood the difference about that mantras. I thought, okay, every mantra is divine, and there are many beings. It's like a big ocean. There are sharks in the ocean, and there are beautiful dolphins in the ocean, and I personally only like to call the beautiful dolphins. I only like to call the light. So the real yogis, they're really going for the truth and for the divine energy. They never eat meat, they never drink alcohol, they are completely going the purifying way. And that path takes longer. That's why not everybody likes that. That path is also testing on your character. That path is testing many times on your belief, and it's a longer path. But there are certain mantras where when you chant them, you can, even then it's a longer path, you can easily start to feel that energy. And step by step, this energy is implementing in your body and in your energy, and you start to feel different. You start to see different. You start to see things in a very different consciousness. It's like, if you have like a scarf around your eyes and somebody takes that away. So nobody can take that, nobody can take that from you. You know what you're feeling. It's very, very clear. And that's a beautiful thing. And it all has to do with soul vibration. And what I really love on the Indian tradition is that, most of that knowledge is very, very old and ancient, and it's still practiced. Here, for example, in the West, we have a lot of history of, people who say everything which is supernatural is negative, is evil, is witchcraft. And then many books got burned, and many knowledge got disappeared. And of course, let's not forget there is witchcraft and there is negative energy for sure. And I think the church used that to put everything in one pot, which is wrong, because there's also saints who have divine powers and they're using it for a right way. And if you're not hurting a soul, if you're doing the right way and you raise your soul vibration, you get very beautiful supernatural powers in a really nice way. So that's why many of the saints meditate a long time. I saw saints who, I saw in the Kumbh Mela, who just came down from the Himalayas every 12 years once to give darshan, to show themselves, to show their energy. I was so impressed. The Kumbh Mela is a festival where many saints and sadhus and yogis come together and they show off. If they show off, it's a kind of it's really weird. It's a kind of like a kermes for yogis or something. And at that Kumbh Mela, I was there were 600 million people visited that. That was 2013. It was one of the largest Kumbh Mela ever. You can Google it up. It was amazing. There are smaller Kumbh Melas with just a few million people, very large every year. But this was one of the largest since many years. And there was few saints who came, who sit normally only in the caves, and they came down and they give Ashivadam, so they give powers and they give blessings to the people who visit them. And you could feel that vibration, it's like amazing. You could feel that soul power of a being who is all the time in muni and silence and meditating. As you can feel that different, not with the mind, you feel it with the heart, you feel it with the vibration. Gabi is saying, good evening. It's not necessary that you know so many different mantras. If you listen to the Gayatri mantra, every day is enough, or it's okay. Yeah, sure, there are many people who say so many different things, and the Gayatri is very interesting, because the Gayatri, why that is the Gayatri has all the knowledge of the 4 Vedas inside. This Gayatri mantra comes from the sun and has a strong sun vibration. And it's true, once you chant that as many mantras as also, you can get so many more energies. The same is with the Om. And the Hare Krishna say that about Hare Krishna too. And the Shiva say that about Namah Shivaya too. So there are many ways. And actually that is true. We don't need to learn all this 70 million mantras. But I want to just show how much knowledge is there. And this is amazing, isn't it? I mean, 70 million mantras. There are some yogis who study that, and those yogis are called jnana yogis. Jnana means spiritual knowledge, and jnana, and that means that a soul is just searching about all that divine secrets. And some souls don't search that. Some souls have this trust inside. They just stick to 1 or 2 or 3 mantras, chant them, and they get up the soul vibration. So the beautiful thing is, there's not just one way, and there's not just one truth. And I think there's so many different souls and so many different paths, and that is the beautiful thing. Also about the healing of the powers. And when we talk about sadhana and about what is possible, there it's what is a different level of the, especially for the Western mind, for sure. And I think that is always the most challenging part when I start to talk about those things. Also, I experienced that when I did my journeys to India with my groups, which I do 2 times in a year, that many people tell me, oh, why you have to do a lot of sadhana? You just think on God and then everything comes to you. Yeah, that's true on one level, but oh, es kracht so, wenn ich spreche. Oh, that's not so nice. Is that with everybody? Is it that everybody has a not so good voice with me? Just hear that the first time. I try to get a little bit away. So sadhana means, you know, a soul is practicing a lot of spiritual powers to achieve certain levels of siddhis, which I will talk more about. I think now it's better, right? So I go a little bit away. And the sadhanas, for example, one of the sadhanas I want to show to you, which I also saw, is, for example, on the Kumbh Mela, I met some yogis, is, for example, here, like standing on one leg. I met some yogis who standing on one leg on a swing for so long time. I met one yogi who stands already 12 years on on two legs actually, but on a swing. So that means he never lays down, he never sits down. And their sadhanas, this is amazing. We cannot even comprehend. For example, you know, standing on a head for like weeks, or you know, it's this powers they can achieve is, for example, standing in the fire, you know, levitating. Those powers are real, but there are also a lot of fakes in India right now. What I see, unfortunately, and many people who went a lot to India and, you know, go deeper, they also tell me it's true that the most famous yogis right now are those who are having the knowledge, but yeah, are not real. There's a lot of fake, you know, there are even fake miracles there. So, and that is very unfortunate because, you know, many people then think, okay, that is all fake. And maybe it's a part of filtering, maybe it's a part of also show off, and maybe it's a part of the world we are living in, that everybody just wants the easy path. But the real path is the path of sadhana, is the path which, you know, since thousands of years, saints did incredible things. One sadhu I met on the Kumbh Mela, he was also standing like he did on one leg first and on two legs, and then finally he was sitting down because he was standing many years. And I asked him, you know, is that okay for him to sit down? And he said, yes, I experienced so many levels of powers. And I asked him, you know, what is the greatest power you had? And he told me he talked many times directly to Hanuman. And Hanuman told him the future, and Hanuman told him, you know, whom to heal and whom not. And he was very super psychic. He could, you know, look at a person and can see, you know, what will happen during the next 2-3 years. And he gave me a cloth where is a picture of Hanuman on top of it. And he told me if I really want to heal somebody, I can just put that cloth on them. So that was really incredible. And he was standing so many years, and still now he's sitting, but he still didn't lay down. So that are the really strong sadhanas that also called tapas. And this tapas only can lead to the really great siddhis. So there are many lower siddhis and many abilities a soul can achieve once they get some certain energies, but there's very strong divine energies that takes, of course, a lot of energy. So, you know, it's like if you give a lot, you get a lot. And that is actually the secret of this ancient spiritual knowledge which I studied. And it's also the secret of the chakras, because each chakra has you know, different vibrations inside of them. And once that unlocks that energy, you can achieve a very different level of consciousness, but also a very different level of awareness. And the most interesting one for most people in the West is the third eye, right? So many people want to see and want to get. And the thing is, you know, in order to get the third eye, what I experience is very important to have also a good root chakra. Because here in Germany, I don't know how it is in other parts in the world, but right now here in Germany, I have many people who call me. They went to Kundalini Yoga, for example, and they did Kundalini Yoga, and then it worked. And then they're completely shocked, and the teacher cannot help, they think they go crazy, but they just have an awakening experience in the Kundalini. And that's a powerful, powerful, powerful source. And that can come in, even seeing somebody's thoughts, and if you tell that, for example, to a doctor, he might tell you, okay, come, get some rest, and you will burn out, and just get some rest and get some pills. So, and I had people coming in my consultations who told me, oh, I was in a psychiatric hospital. And when I researched on what it was, they just had some unlocked of some chakras, and they had some supernatural experiences. So that is very important to understand, that the powers are very strong and the energies can be very beautifully strong, and it's very important to not want to fly away until, kind of getting the powers to disappear from that world, but to integrate it in this world. I mean, I really believe that God gives us a gift to be here and to integrate that. For example, the heart chakra, if you open it, you have a beautiful divine love. You have a lot of compassion. You can feel somebody else's pain. Why God is giving this. God is giving that not for selfish reasons for us, but is giving it so that we can help humanity, that we can be, for example, activists, people who, feel the pain of the animals, for example, who are abused or slaughtered, or so many people go vegetarian right now or vegan, because the energy on the planet is shifting. The people getting more and more beautiful vibration, even though they're not meditating, and that is very interesting. The planet itself is getting to a higher energy right now, frequency right now. Not everybody is following that. Let's say like this. The Vedas also say only 20% of the people following that divine energy. But the people who can follow that, they're getting more sensitive, they're getting more energy. And that is not for our selfish reason, right? That is here that we can uplift other people, and that beautiful energy also, once it comes in the soul chakra, you can heal through the talk. When you talk to somebody, you connect with your heart, you connect with your third eye, you can give healings. And this is very, very important to ground yourself, to have a good base, that when that energy is coming, you're not disappearing. Because I saw that happened with people who also came to our darkness retreat, who after that they had a very hard time to come back to this world. And I think I always say that if God would wish that we just be etherical beings, we would be etherical beings, right? So I believe we have something to do here. Or if the calling is very high, for some very few divine souls, they really have to go in a cave. I know some yogis who live in a cave, and the idea of many of the people are, oh yeah, then you escape the world. But the people I know who are really doing sadhana in the caves, their experience, exactly this question: who are you really? Who I am really? And they research on that, and they give that knowledge to the next level. And for me personally, I had some experience many, many years ago. I think it was like 15 or 16 years ago, where I for the first time saw my past lives. And it was like a movie in my third eye. I saw it so clearly. It was so real. It was so much real. And I not just saw one life, I saw 2 or 3 lives. And one life was very interesting. I didn't saw nice things about myself. I saw myself doing some mistakes. And after I saw that, I was so thankful that I, had a chance to, to start over, let's say, and that I not got punished, because I felt like, wow, that was not cool to do certain things, you know. And I really started to think who I am, if I have so many different lives, you know, why I'm here, what is the reason, is it really now to attain certain powers? Because in the beginning of my spiritual journey, I was very interested about cities, about spiritual experiences, about powers, manifesting things, and you know, the things are possible. And I had a master who mastered that very, very skillfully. And after a while, I understood this is all passing. It's like flowers, you know, on the way. And they're nice flowers, they're beautiful, but they're also passing. And, you know, I really, really recommend you to read the autobiography of a yogi. And even if you read it, read it again. There's so much depth in it about the karma. You know, for example, in the last lifetime, for example, if you were this person here and this person really wanted something very badly and didn't fulfill it in this life, you take that wish over in your next lifetime. Or and then you try to you know, to get that done. Or if you, for example, were in your last lifetime a yogi, then again you want to be a yogi in this lifetime. For example, many people ask me, why are you always going to India even after 17 years? I have no answer on that in my logically mind. Because it's true. Why I'm doing this? It's a lot of energy, it's a lot of organizing, and yeah, but my soul is calling from that because it's called samskara. Samskara means samskara means you have that imprint in your soul, so you're doing the next things in your, you know, in your next level. And very interesting is that once you ask yourself who you are, where you're going, why you're here, many things you feel are now important are not important anymore, or you're getting different priorities, you know, you're getting a different view. And for myself, it was like this. When I first time saw my last lifetime, I was like, oh wow, okay, this and this mistake I did, this I don't do again. And I understood myself. For example, in one of my last lifetimes, I had kids, two kids, beautiful kids, and I went to sadhana in the Himalayas, and I left my kids behind. So in this lifetime, I really didn't wanted kids. Once I saw that, and I experienced the pain of, you know, being a bad mother and able to wanting to do sadhana, and I didn't took care on my duty, which is also called dharma. It's my duty. You know, I was able to work on it, and now I'm very, very happy that I have another chance, and I have two beautiful kids, and I love them dearly, and I'm really spending a lot of time with them, and I'm doing sadhana at the same time, you know. But I got my first kid when I was 39. So without seeing that, I think the chance would had been very high that I would have never get kids. So that's the power of karma, you know, that once you see something and you understand what you did and why, you get a chance maybe to get it right, or at least to understand and to focus on what is really important. And this is also a beautiful thing. You start to see what is your dharma. Dharma means what is your spiritual work you have to do in this life. Everybody comes with some different dharma. There's so many different dharmas. I had some two very, very beautiful souls right now in the darkness retreat here, and both of them wrote books. Yeah, very interesting. And I feel strongly that is their dharma, because they wrote both of the books from their heart, from their experience. They have to give that knowledge to the world. I could never give them that. I think also other people could not do that because they didn't have that experience they had. You know, something which is coming from the heart, which is uplifting other souls, is called dharma. I personally love to say, without dharma, there's drama. Because if you don't know your dharma, you might do today this and tomorrow this and then this, and you're not settled. You don't find yourself, right? You might be confused in your life. So once you know your Dharma, you are really guided, you feel the blessing, and that comes through the power of the third eye also. Once the energy, spiritual vibration is opening the third eye, easily you feel your Dharma. It's not a question anymore. It's just there. And I want to say there's not just positive energy once you reach certain abilities. There, I talked about the mantras. There are the mantras who go in the negative way, and there are mantras who go in the upper way. And this is something really, really, really important, because that we go the beautiful divine way. Because if we don't, we create a lot of karma. And you know, in the history of the gods and the Rakshasas means the negative beings. There's a lot of negative beings who achieved a lot of power, you know, also because God gives unconditionally to everybody, which is very interesting in the beginning, right? In the beginning, but who's holding it? And for example, the gods and the devils had a big thing about Amruta, that is the liquid of immortality. And actually the Rakshasas got it, and then finally the gods made a trick through Mohini. You can read that story if you want, you can Google it up, you know, you can all research what I'm saying. It's about tuning of the ocean, and they got the Amruta and they got it to the gods. But you know, it's not, this is very important message why I'm saying this. In the beginning of my spiritual journey, I felt everybody was a Siddhi, like a power, like a supernatural power. They are divine, they are God, but it's not true, you know. It's this really, there are also other levels. Oh wow, I didn't want to show this, but this is interesting. I don't know how this came now in my slides. This is a picture of Hanuman, Hanuman in a Hanuman temple in Hampi. This is the birthplace of Hanuman, and in one of my visits, Hanuman appeared in the mirror. So he showed himself in the mirror. He gave darshan during, you know, arati there at the mirror of the temple. So these beings are real. These divine beings are real, and they're testing and they're looking and they're checking. And it's really, really important, you know, to get the divine energies from a good source. Also, not just chanting mantras is a way of getting divine energies. This, for example, at the Mahakumbh Mela 2013, and I got a beautiful energy transfer from this interesting sadhu, and actually one of my group members too. And I could feel that energy was so strong, it was so divine, that energy came through me. And here is also what you see, like some saints doing intense sadhana. He is like wearing only ash. You're seeing some special mudra he's doing. He's covered fully in ash, and he's wearing all these rudrakshas with getting a lot of divine energy. I mean, I'm wearing a few, but there are some secrets written in the ancient books, in the nadis, in the palm leaf books, that, for example, if you wear 500 rudrakshas, 1000 rudrakshas, if you chant a certain mantras with that energy is coming to you and getting, you know, getting the supernatural powers. And this is a sadhana. They're not wearing it now for show. They're wearing it all the time. They're never taking it off. They're sleeping with it, you know. I mean, do you know how heavy that is? To achieve a normal level of spiritual power, to achieve a level of normal siddhis and normal energies, it's not very difficult, you know. You chant, you know, the lower siddhis. You chant a little bit of mantras. Even if you just listen to it, some energy comes to you. But to achieve the very high powers, there you have to do more. And I will talk about I will talk about a little bit about this different energy. So these are the you know, some of them. Okay, there's so much more, and again, it's there are mantras, there are ways to achieve that, but there is also one saying: if you walk the path of love and divine truth, some of these abilities just coming to you with, even if soul is not understanding it. There's, for example, a first level of manifestations happening mostly through angels, and the person is not even, aware that those miracles can happen through them. So these higher powers, such as walking on water or walking through walls, we know that from Jesus, right? And in the old palm leaf books in Tibet, there are some old palm leaf books in Tibet, and some monks were saying that Jesus was called the Isus, Isus, and they have written him down, and that he was there in his 12 missing years, and that this is just one of the Siddhis he achieved, like some of the supernormal abilities. The divine ear is something where you can hear things through distance, which is actually most easily to get when you really meditate, and it happens a lot in the darkness retreats we're doing here in our ashram. Many people start to hear through the walls, and also here in other dimensions. One person in the darkness retreat told me, "Why are you putting a radio in front of my room?" I said, "I don't put a radio in front of your room." He was 100% convinced I put a radio. It was so funny because he could hear it very clearly. Some people get really messages. I don't have that so often. Or so strong. I see more, but some people hear more. So that is not with every person the same. It's not like 1, 2, 3. It can be that you only have 5 or only have number 4, and those energies can, of course, also disappear if you don't hold your vibrations. That energies can also disappear. Then also this is telepathy. Is something where you can read somebody's mind, but so many things can also happening there. Then memory, for example, that is what happened to me. All of a sudden you're seeing your past life. At that time I had a mantra for that, so that was there are mantras for that, and I chanted it, but I didn't expect it that this would work. I had a big doubt at the time. I was thinking, oh yeah, maybe that might work, maybe not, and I was really surprised it worked so strongly. Actually, for me it was like this, that I couldn't really interact very normal for 1 week. I was in an ashram at that time. I was not in Germany, but in another surrounding, but still it was so strong for me that it took a lot to adjust to that. Then the divine eye, that means you can know other karmic destinations, you can see a soul, you can understand, and you can also understand what is the karma of somebody. So this is actually, let's say, the lower energies, and then that is very interesting. Then more and more things coming. For example, you don't have hunger, or you don't have thirst, and the appetite is not important anymore. I saw in the Kumbh Mela also, and also in Tiruvannamalai, I know some saints. Like one, he's very interesting. I don't know why exactly pepperoni, but he's eating only one chili or pepperoni, or you say in English pepperoni. He is only eating a chili, on new moon or full moon or something, and other than that, he is not eating. He is only drinking. Some supernatural power. I learned through the years that there are certain herbs, there are certain levels you have to take, and there are certain mantras and certain energy objects, and once you combine them, step by step, you can achieve that. That are mostly secrets. They are not, those things are not told on YouTube mostly. And I hope also it stays like this, because some of the things I feel is still good that are still secrets, because as I said, everybody can achieve that, right? And you have to have the right intentions why you want to have that. Hearing things far away, seeing things far away, and moving the body wherever thought goes, that is very powerful. Teleportation, I mean, there are different levels. Astral projection is something I mastered, and I also teach to others. And actually, right now, on my level of consciousness, I don't feel it's very difficult to teach that astral projection. I know many techniques and mantras how I feel everybody can, and mostly I have also the chance over 90% of people who come to my seminars about that they have that spiritual experience on this. But teleportation is a different thing, okay? So I didn't master that yet. I don't know if I will in this lifetime, but this is really, really fascinating, you know? I mean, this is really fascinating because as a projection is something we do anyhow. Everybody does it every night, you know? You go out of your body, you see yourself, you know, most people think they dream. You can learn that. That is not very difficult. But what I think now, I also needed a lot of years, but now I think there are some shortcuts. It's easy to get. But teleportation, wow. So, but this is written and this is possible to get that. Assuming any form of desire is the same, you know, it's like it's kind of really beautiful, you know, this fantasy movies where all of a sudden something is turning into something else, you know. For example, you know, somebody is changing into a crow or something. And I heard about some sadhus who having that power, and those are not anymore having big ashrams. I also want to say that's why I personally always search on those who are not so much famous. In my experience, those are the ones who mostly are very, 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 have a very less ego. Mostly you don't even see that. I stayed one time with a sadhu and with Maya Matata. He was with a beautiful, beautiful, powerful woman saint, and she achieved a very high age, and she went into Jivan Samadhi. And I stayed with him for 10 days, and some years after that, I talked to some sadhu friends of mine who stay in Tiruvannamalai, the place I always visit in India. And they told me they're connected to Ramalinga Swami, and I told them, oh yeah, I stayed 10 days with Maya Matata, and they said, oh really? Do you know he's a Maya sitter? Absolutely sitter. And I said, no, I don't know. And they said, yeah, he had the power to be underwater. He was staying underwater for 1 week without breathing. I mean, this is like, wow. And this is a most difficult city because, you know, you can live without water, you can live without food. This is easy, but without breathing, there are very, very few who can achieve that. And he had that level. And he looked for me like a normal, beautiful, heart open old man, you know. But that is the illusion of the mind. So you can only see that when you achieve certain levels of consciousness and once you really are open for that reality also. Also very interesting, entering the bodies of others. This is prakaya pravesh. I mean, this happens not very often. These are powers which are just used for something very important. These are not the cities, you know, which are showed like for David, you know, we are not David Copperfield, you know, showing these powers. But it's possible, and but it takes a lot of sadhana. Those things take a lot of sadhana. Dying when one's desires, I mean, this is a beautiful power. I hope really strongly for everybody who is working on astral projection that they get that energy. Once you meditate for a while, you at least know when you die. And it's important to lose the fear of dying because it's so important we understand we are so much more than our body. It's important we understand who we are really so that we can get through that Maya, through that illusion, because even if we die in the astral world, it's still illusion. It's not just that you are free, you know, of that illusion. It's a big Maya, it's a Maya lokas there. And dying when one is desiring is helping to die consciously and to go in the higher worlds and to, you know, it's very, very important. I feel one of the most important things to work on fear on the unknown, to work on the doubt, to work on the belief system that there's no God there. Many people have that belief system. They think it's all esoteric bullshit, let's say, sorry. But, you know, I saw so many things, I experienced so many things that it's not. Those things are real. And you know, I met a lot of sadhus, for example, right now in the last journey to India. I had the beautiful luck to meet, I was meeting a sadhu, and he said, he got so blessed with money. Money is no issue. He never wants to take money, and he built a lot of temples, and he's not advertising it. And it was like kind of, I was super surprised. I mean, he built it. He showed me he built it for almost like $2 million. He built a lot of temples with big statues in it, and he's not advertising it. But he says God is sending the people who are coming in, and he got from Venkatesh Balaji and Tirupati. He saw this Tirupati and Balaji. He saw them with their own physical eyes. This God is talking to him. This is his power, witnessing in the past times of the gods or talking to them, and they are telling him what to do. And he got a dream that he will never have to worry about money. Then all that money came. Then as a thank you, he built temples. And now he's going regularly for like half a year in complete muni. That means silence. And at that time, he's talking to the gods, and he's just in bliss. He's just sitting there smiling. I mean, so beautiful, very, very beautiful. So that are certain spiritual experiences that are possible. And these are the most big cities. And these are the cities when we study the lives of some very famous saints, for example, Shirdi Sai Baba, please not Satya Sai Baba, okay, Shirdi Sai Baba. Then we learn about those big 8 cities, for example, and that are beyond our normal Western mind, of course. And I think that is also normal. And I personally believe it's only meditation or doing sadhana in different forms, like doing karma yoga or visiting holy places, visiting different saints, that we can able to understand what is possible on these levels, and that we kind of understand this Maya. Maya means illusion we are living in. Still, this Maya is real, right? I mean, we can say, okay, our body is Maya, but if you go to the dentist and you have pain in your teeth, it's still very real, right? So this is something which is there's a Maya, and in that Maya is a realness, but in the realness is a Maya, So that is a beautiful secret of life. Personally, I'm very connected to Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji. There's a beautiful initiation and beautiful experience I had from him when I went through a really difficult time in my life, especially my spiritual life. And actually, what I know now from him, that he is one of the gods and one of the main powers looking over many, many, many siddhas, many yogis, and he told to different masters that he is like as a chef with other high-level siddhas, looking what everybody is doing. And Mahavatar Babaji and many other siddhas are saying that the spiritual path will get more and more easy during the next generations, because so many people are not believing anymore in the real spirituality. Those a few who are, and doing just a little bit of mantras and just a little bit of sadhana, they will be getting so much divine energy, because it's needed in this world of non-believing and where money is the biggest god of most people. So at that time in this Kali Yuga, as it says, these energies will be very, very easily multiplying when you meditate. So this is our place in Germany. Who doesn't know that? It's my ashram, and we are in the beautiful nature. I really enjoy it to be here, and my work actually started here in Germany, I think 8 years ago. At the time I started in a small house. Now we expanded because I felt, okay, I want to give people the possibility to get spiritual experiences. So I chant every night mantras in my small temple room with the guests who are here. We're doing also big chants like the Hanuman Chalisa 108 times, 2 times in the year. And I'm leading so-called darkness retreats where people go in complete darkness, which is also in the Tibet tradition, one of the initiation to go you know, for 7 weeks in complete darkness, because each week is initiating an energy in your chakra. Most people don't do the 7 weeks. Most people stay for 10 to 14 days. Then when they come out, they see this beautiful nature. Isn't that amazing? And I really believe that the nature is a very important part. And this is also my suggestion to all of you. Try to meditate as much as you can in nature, because when nature is there, beautiful energies around. The angels love the nature. There are certain mantras who only work in the nature. In the ancient time, ashram meant a place where, where's a place for sadhana, a place for quietness, a place for also hard working and serving, karma yoga, doing good for others. And nowadays, many ashrams are very crowded, very filled, which is so beautiful because it creates a lot of divine energy. I also like that when I'm in India. But in the very old ancient times, it was always a place to, you know, go in silence with yourself. So you don't have to go to an ashram to get that. I'm sure we all can create that in our own life. If you want to know more about me, that's my webpage. I personally feel that we all can create that in our own life, and also this knowledge about mantras and the ways of achieving certain energies, that is not just happening through Indian tradition. I hear so many people who come and they tell me, oh wow, I had an experience, and they don't know what it is, and then I explain to them and they, oh wow, I really did an astral projection, or I really had some clear, I had some opening of my third eye. And many people get experiences even so they don't do mantras, because their heart is purifying, because they're doing good things in the world. And now it's a beautiful time to raise with our vibrations. The earth needs it. So, and if you have questions for me, I'm very happy to answer more of that. You can also send me a message on my email. I'm thinking to do more webinars if you wish for, also in English. This is my email, info@spiritbalance.net. And there will be, I think, maybe end of this year, maybe next year, I start a big teaching about mantras and yantras, and to give out that real divine knowledge to many people who are really interested. That might go through 2 years. So who really wants to learn those deep knowledge. And I'm not really sure yet when I start, because I have many other things on my plate. But when that comes, I will let you know. So at the end, I want to chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavatu. That means, may all beings in all worlds be happy. And I wish that we pray for that a lot. Namaste. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tschüss. Tschüss, ihr Lieben. See you soon.